I know they're going back and forth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would matter. If he wants to make some money, Floyd want to make some money.
It's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started talk. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It makes no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at right now.
How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling story, in my opinion.
Mike Tyson said the Jake Paul versus Francis Ngannou fight might not be the most balanced matchup, but it would be a massive draw. He noted the sheer curiosity over who'd win makes it thrilling, a spectacle sure to unite fans from both boxing and MMA worldwide.
I know you're such a big MMA fan. You know, I've been to UFC fights and I see you sitting octagon side. I can't help but wonder if you had gotten into MMA as a young man, as a teenager, instead of boxing, how do you think your career would have went, Mike?
Hey, I had no idea, but I'm really enthused about the MMA, you know, because not thinking, I had no idea that Raphael, who's from a background of MMA, would know so much about boxing. I had no idea, you know, only thing I know about great boxing is the great Ed Joffa, who was a legendary boxer who happened to be Brazilian, but never knowing, not being conscious that he would know that much about boxing.
Do you think you could have learned all the wrestling moves and the takedown defense and could have been a champion in something like the UFC?
I could have done all that stuff. But once someone stepped on my foot, I would have tapped out. My feet are my weak spot. You step on my feet, I'm going to tap out.
Francis Ngannou called a potential fight with Jake Paul a total insult to his name and legacy. He said Jake hasn't earned the right to face someone of his caliber, adding that such offers show how far entertainment has strayed from true combat sports.
So we think about you to fight Jake, to replace Javante. I'm like, who's Jake? You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started talk. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It makes no sense for me. It's not my what.
Chael Sonnen reacted to the idea of Jake Paul fighting Francis Ngannou with a mix of humor and intrigue. He said the matchup would be fascinating, not for competition, but to test Jake's toughness. Sonnen joked that even Tyson Fury, one of boxing's most durable heavyweights, was dropped by a single clean shot from Ngannou. If a world-class fighter like Fury, with size, experience, and elite defense, barely survived Ngannou's power, Jake could be in serious danger. Sonnen admitted Jake's confidence is entertaining and his willingness to challenge bigger names keeps fans watching, but warned that facing someone like Francis is a completely different game. Jake doesn't have Fury's size, power, or a chin, he explained. If Tyson could only take one punch, it's hard to imagine Jake taking even that.
This tells this story that Nikista's offering him the fight, but he's just not hearing it that way. Like, all right, you said you need help, and you called me, and I'm happy to help you, but you know what is it that I can do? So when Francis finally realizes it, he not only says no, he says he was offended. He said, Jake, you want me to bite Jake? Jake who? I said, Jake Paul. He said, that makes no sense. That's the last thing I would want to do right now. It's the last thing that I'm looking for. And, all right. Now, that is a good and comical story. And I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. And there's this story going on out there that and it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they both involve bludgeoning. You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back. I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you start with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it. I mean, what's that going to look like? How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's compelling.
Francis Ngannou isn't just heavier. He's vastly more powerful than anyone Jake Paul has ever faced. While Gervonta Davis is a lightning-fast lightweight built on precision and timing, Ngannou is a 260-pound powerhouse of raw strength and knockout force. Analysts agree that if Jake truly wants to face Francis, he must completely rebuild his training approach from the ground up. That means adding serious muscle, developing the ability to absorb heavyweight punches, and transforming his movement to handle a fighter of Ngannou's magnitude. Fighting lightweights demands speed and reflexes. Fighting a heavyweight like Francis requires durability, balance, and brute strength. Experts say Jake can't treat this as another influencer boxing spectacle. He'd need months of elite-level conditioning, specialized sparring, and expert coaching just to survive a few rounds. Facing Ngannou wouldn't be a boxing match. It would be a test of whether Jake Paul can evolve from entertainer to real fighter.
Something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event, and a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it makes no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete if it's someone like a Francis Ngannou or even an Andre Ward or whoever else, not just the fight style's different.
Boxing analyst and former champion Tim Bradley says the cancellation of the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight hit more than just the fighters. Promoters, networks, and sponsors lost millions when the deal collapsed. The bout was expected to bring massive pay-per-view sales and global attention. Bradley explained that Tank Davis's legal troubles made major broadcasters and brands back out, fearing damage to their image. By then, millions had already been poured into marketing and event logistics, all gone overnight. But he added that this shows how fragile boxing's business really is. When a fighter's reputation crumbles, it's not just their career that suffers. Everyone who invested pays the price.